Folks, we finally have our official X-Men cast. Not just that, D23 also announced a Kingdom Hearts anime. I felt literally sick when I heard about that. And last but not least, everyone is cutting back on TV and streaming. Why? What's happening? I thought it was the future. We're going to talk about all of this today on Movie News Monday, folks. Every single Monday, live on Twitch, we cover everything going on in the world of entertainment. We're talking MCU, DCUs, all the U's. You know what it is. So go ahead, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on Twitch, say hello to YouTube as we pivot to our first story of the day. Folks, we have our official X-Men cast. That's right, after all the speculation, all the scoopers and grifters online that were pretending to know who had been locked down, we finally have our official cast. So, as we know, with the acquisition of 20th Century Fox, Disney also secured the rights back to the X-Men franchise. So, if you had been confused as to why were all the X-Men movies separate, like when they were doing, you know, the Patrick Stewart X-Men movies and the James McAvoy X-Men movies and, you know, all the reboots. What was going on there? Why were the Avengers and Spider-Man not in those? So way back in the 90s, Marvel, if you could believe it, was basically broke. They were on the verge of bankruptcy, and the only way to save themselves was to auction off their film rights to everybody. They auctioned off the rights to the X-Men and all the mutant-related characters to 20th Century Fox, and where we fast forward to, you know, nearly 30 years later, those rights are now back home with this man right here, Kevin Feige, president of Marvel Studios, who, funny enough, actually worked as a producer's assistant on the first X-Men movies. He very famously would sneak comics on set, particularly for one Mr. Hugh Jackman, because Bryan Singer, the director, was so scared of the movie coming off as too campy, he had banned comic books on the set of X-Men. But Kevin Feige knew that the fan base would appreciate if the cast could maybe tie back to their original characters. So it is great to see this man and this studio get the ability to tell this story of the X-Men. And who do we have to tell that story? Obviously, spoilers for Spider-Man Brand New Day, but honestly, if you've made it this far and you didn't know already, I'm sorry to be the deliverer of this news. Sadie Sink will be portraying Jean Grey. Kit Connor will be portraying Cyclops. We already knew that one. That one leaked. We have Christopher Abbott portraying Charles Xavier, Professor X. We have Samara Weaving as Emma Frost. We have Indy Navarrete from Obsession portraying Rogue, and newcomer Maya Boyd, who is a stage actor with basically no film credits to her name, will be a newcomer on the scene to play Storm. The cast was announced officially at D23 Expo. We can take a look at that clip here real quick. And there was somebody else, of course. Adam Driver.
Hey, D23.
Will be portraying.
Need some more.
I don't know why Disney cut its own clip like this. Adam Driver will also be playing Mr. Sinister or Nathaniel Milbury. He will be portraying the villain. If you notice, all of the official releases and all the logos that they've been showing, they have not named this movie yet. They have unveiled the X-Men cast, upcoming X-Men movie, but they never explicitly state the name of the movie. So I don't know if it's being called X-Men officially. But in either case, Jake Schreier is directing this movie. He directed, he's sort of one of the creative forces behind the show Beef on Netflix, and he did also direct the Thunderbolts. Very slept on movie. If you didn't watch the Thunderbolts, I think it stands pretty good on its own. You should definitely check it out. But this is our official cast, and of course, with official cast, we get some official fan artwork. So I wanted to shout out Boss Logic, the GOAT. Everyone loves Boss Logic in the Marvel world, who did some fantastic fan art of who Adam Driver could be playing here with Mr. Sinister, the most flamboyant X-Men villain. And I really hope that Adam Driver goes full like Tim Curry, Rocky Horror into it, because Mr. Sinister is a queen. I will say it. I will say it, and I hope that he sends it. Adam Driver is, I think a lot of people have this perception of him because he plays very serious roles and he does take himself relatively seriously as an actor and as a person, but he's the goofy guy. I mean, you've seen him on SNL. You've seen him lean into the fun. So to see him play this character, I think could be very, very interesting. Of course, we also have Indy Navarrete as Rogue. This is an exciting one. First off, let me just say, never in a million years would I have thought that that Rogue would be portrayed by a Latina, but hey, I'm so here for that. I'm so excited for that. She was an absolute breakout hit for Obsession. I am still like begging Universal Studios, run her for an Oscar. Why the hell not? Try it. I think you could actually I think it could actually work for you. But yes, love this pick for Rogue. Love that Rogue might be a Latina. Not might be, is. Rogue is going to be a Latina. That's awesome. And Indy was not on my radar at all for this role. A lot of the speculation had Odessa Azazon or Kaylee Spaney for the role. This is a great one. Indy did sort of leak that she met with Jake Schreier, but then she threw everyone off the trail by saying, "Oh, I would love to play Mystique." I see what you're doing there, because in some versions of the canon, Mystique is Rogue's mother. So I see what you're doing there. You were dropping hints. You've been reading the comics. And of course, Maya Boyd as Storm. Again, Maya Boyd is a newcomer, so I have no doubt in Marvel Studios' casting department. And you know what? For a role like Storm, it would have been incredible to see some of the fan castings go into effect here, but why not a newcomer? Why not? I think one of the cool things that Marvel Studios does is pick up actors who are just about to explode in their careers, and to put one of the most legendary superheroes and one of the most powerful superheroes on a new coming actor, I think that's super cool. I hope Maya Boyd is prepared for the world that she's entering, and I hope that we see her in X-Men. I hope that we see her in Black Panther 3. I hope that we see her in like her own movie. Why the hell not? Why the hell not give Storm her own movie? I did see a fun video that had the argument of like, does it make sense to give any of the X-Men their own solo movies? And like, on one hand, I'm like, yeah, not really. And like, nobody gets solo movies in Marvel anymore. Like, you always have somebody else present. But at the same time, if Marvel really wanted to push back against the allegations, given what happened to Wonder Man and Blade and everything there, give Storm her own movie. Might actually do you some favors. And our boy Kit Connor as Cyclops. I like this casting. And then last but not least, Professor Xavier himself. Ooh, they better keep him in the wheelchair for the movies, because these moves, we wouldn't be able to focus on anything. So I couldn't find a single picture of Christopher Abbott like photoshopped as Charles Xavier that didn't look like it was an AI generated bald head. So instead, this is your Professor Xavier. Another thing that I think is fantastic about this cast is that they're all theater actors. Christopher Abbott, Kit Connor, Sadie Sink, Maya Boyd are all theater actors. Adam Driver as well. Indy is, relatively fresh face in Hollywood. Yes, she was on Superman and Lois for a few seasons, and of course we have Obsession. Samara Weaving has been slowly crawling up through the horror genre And then, of course, Sadie Sink had the explosion of Stranger Things behind her. But this is a good cast. I'm happy with this cast. It is crazy to me that I am older than most of the X-Men cast. That is the first time in my life that that's happened. I just, I'm glad we're finally getting young, like high school aged X-Men on screen, but at the same time, I'm so old. The X-Men were a great announcement, but no announcement from D23 hit me like this announcement. Chat, gamers, people everywhere. It finally happened. Kingdom Hearts, the series, was announced at D23 this year. We are getting an anime based on Kingdom Hearts. When I heard this, I became physically unwell. I got immediately nauseous with how excited I was about this. This franchise means so much to me. It is such a beautiful franchise, on top of the fact that the games are just so good. They're so well done. The story is just so heartwarming. Foundational to me. My morality is based on Kingdom Hearts. But we now have an official Kingdom Hearts anime in the works. This is being developed in partnership with the video game creator Tetsuya Nomura and with the creative team at Square Enix. This series is going to reimagine the iconic adventure with a brand new story that will expand on the universe of Kingdom Hearts. This is just so great. I can't even begin to imagine all the fun worlds that we're going to see, all the fun stories that are going to be told. A reimagining, too, I think is so great because it could just be its own thing altogether. It could retell the story of some of the worlds that we've already been to. It could take them in a completely different direction. It's such a big universe already, yes, chat, but also this opens the door to so many different like niche franchises that we could get into, even with just like cameos in the background and like fun Easter egg details that they could throw in. The fact that it's animated is fantastic. And chat, can I also say, part of why I was really excited too is there was actually already an original Kingdom Hearts animated series. Did y'all know about this? Inverse has a whole article about it. You can look this up. But they did a pilot and it had like a storyboard animatic that randomly dropped on YouTube one day. But the pilot would have taken them to the Kingdom of Agrabah. It would have showcased Riku and Sora and all of that. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. This existed. And this was 20 years ago. Back in 2002, following the first couple games. Or the first game, I think it would have been. So this is also just validation for something we never got back in the day. But if you want to get excited, Brandon Davis from the Brandon Davis Show and Phase Hero was at D23, and I really appreciated. He recorded the audio of when the announcement happened, which Benjamin Bratt got to be the announcer for it. How incredible was that? They just snuck it in because they were talking about Coco 2, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, Coco's going to be somewhere else." But just listen to the reaction to the announcement.
Last but not least, for the first time ever, Kingdom Hearts will
Incredible. Just drop that and disappear. Imagine. Oh, the energy in that room must have been incredible. So, chat, I want to know, you have been put in charge. If you're put in charge of Kingdom Hearts the series, what world do you send them to? What Disney world do you send them to? if you had to pick, and sure, you can pick one of the ones that's already been covered by the games, or you can pick a new one. I mean, obviously it'd be insane if we did like a Marvel or a Star Wars. Like, technically you could. Treasure Planet and Brave would be great. Moana would be good. Moana would be really good, actually. Treasure Planet would be crazy. Ooh, let's meet in the middle. Let's meet in the middle of Moana and Treasure Planet. Let's send them to Atlantis. Let's send them to Atlantis. I feel like that would fit so well with Kingdom Hearts. Are you kidding me? We got there. As we're thinking about the beautiful artistry that is Kingdom Hearts, let's jump over to the world of Supergirl and DC, because chat, as we know, Supergirl did not perform very well on the box office, and so it sped its way into the home release, and with it, some behind-the-scenes footage released, which shows behind the scenes of working with Lobo actor Jason Momoa as they're reviewing concept art of Lobo. But what's this? What's this that's happening here? Oh, that's crazy how those 1x1 squares are just very quickly sort of prompted to have all these different views that they're able to adjust on the fly. Look, I'm not going to bury the lead here too much. This is AI, right? Right? This is totally AI. Just look at it. Just look at it. This is AI artwork. And people did not shy away to notice this very clearly AI artwork of Jason Momoa as Lobo, because pretty soon after this was posted, Warner Brothers took it down. Warner Brothers took it down, and they didn't just take it down here. They started passing around takedown notices to anyone who had uploaded the official versions of the featurette. So, did Supergirl use AI to render its concept art and render its concept art of Lobo? Probably, which really stinks. It really stinks to see $100 million movie use AI, and out of all things, to use AI for concept art of this dude who has been fan casted as Lobo for years. If you look up Jason Momoa Lobo fan art, like, this shit has existed. The guy literally looks like Lobo. You do not need to go far. You do not need AI images to have, concept art for this. On top of the fact that you could just hire a fucking concept artist. You're DC. You employ so many artists who can draw as a living. You are a comic book company. And you're using AI generated concept art for the dude who looks like the dude. That's just crazy to me. It's crazy to me. And it just kind of like makes you feel a little bit less bad about the movie underperforming. I don't know. I guess it's a good thing they didn't hire a storyboard artist because they didn't make any of their money. Whatever. Let's move on. Look, there's some other trouble going on in the world of DC. DC just premiered its first live-action series following Peacemaker. DC's Lanterns finally arrived. Its first episode came out last night. I watched it this morning. Chat, it's good. Like, it's actually pretty good. I've never seen True Detective, but everyone says it's True Detective, but in space. Or with aliens, I guess. It's pretty good. I'm hooked on the pilot. So I'm very much looking forward to see how this show plays out. This show, though, may not be able to give all its credit to the current iteration of the DC Studios slate. because it's been in development for about 7 years and has gone through 4 different creative teams. Famously, Mark Guggenheim and Greg Berlanti and Seth Grahame-Smith worked on a version of the show. We kept getting notes that they wanted 2 detectives with power rings. Ultimately, that wasn't the show that we were interested in giving them. But at the end of the day, that is the show that they made. This article, however, went to point out all the troubles that DC has been having with development projects, on top of the fact that Supergirl underperformed. Basically, everything that James Gunn announced back in 2023 when they did their full slate announcement, most of it has not been successful. And specifically, a lot of it's, here we go, female-led projects that were being developed are no longer moving forward. That article says that Paradise Lost, which we had just been talking about a couple months ago on stream, Paradise Lost is no longer in active development, which was the Wonder Woman sort of spin-off Game of Thrones style show about the mascara. And then Waller, the show based on Amanda Waller, the government agent behind the Suicide Squad Task Force X, starring Viola Davis, is no longer moving forward. So Marvel can't do black stories and DC can't do women. Cool. Yeah, that's kind of where we're sitting. But hey, don't worry. If you want to get even angrier, allegedly both a Catwoman and a Poison Ivy TV show were recently pitched to DC and HBO, and they passed on both of them. We are not beating those DC can't do women allegations. I don't know, chat. I don't know what's happening. Like, I understand that Warner Brothers is in the middle of what is probably the most contentious entertainment merger in modern history. But this should be a fucking tee-up. How have we been... We are coming up on 18 years of the superhero renaissance, essentially, right? If you go back to 2008, which is the year that The Dark Knight came out and the year that Iron Man came out, we are 18 years into the superhero boom, and DC has not been able to do anything. They got lucky with having Christopher Nolan. They didn't let Zack Snyder cook on what he was cooking, even though personally it wasn't for me. And now even with James Gunn, I don't know what's happening. Catwoman and Poison Ivy are a fucking tee-up. Paradise Lost and Waller are a fucking tee-up. How are you not finding the creatives to drive these shows and drive these teams? I can't wrap my head around it. And I love James Gunn. I think he's a great filmmaker. I think he needs to get off of Twitter. Or he's on Threads now. He's not on Twitter. I just don't know what's happening at the studio where all of these female-led characters and all these female-led stories are being passed on, and then the one female-led story that you decided to move on, Supergirl, is directed by a man who uses fucking AI art to generate images of the dude who looks like the character already. We're finally making a Supergirl movie. You know who I'm going to call? Craig Gillespie. I fucking can't. So, I don't know, chat. Lanterns is good. It's good. I like Lanterns. I'm excited for the next Superman movie. Yeah, sure. But also, what the fuck is happening? Can't we get it right? Well, at least Marvel's getting it right in the sense of TV, right? What's that? Vision Quest could officially mark the end of the era for Marvel? Now what? Now what? Well, folks, Collider reports that though we believed initially that Vision Quest was going to start the next wave of streaming TV series over at Marvel, Collider has learned that after Vision Quest, Marvel Studios will be cutting back on live-action Disney Plus shows. Daredevil Born Again Season 3 has already wrapped filming, and there are allegedly 2 Marvel Presents and Marvel Spotlights banners, series/specials in development. But aside from that, there is no new projects being developed. And that does align with what we've been hearing recently, right? Wonder Man Season 2 was canceled. Armor Wars disappeared. The Nova series has pivoted to a movie. We've heard nothing about Season 2s to Moon Knight, to Miss Marvel, to any of the other live-action shows, She-Hulk. However, Collider did learn that Disney was using shows like The Acolyte, Willow, and even Wonder Man as grand experiments to compete with other streamers like Netflix and HBO Max. However, all 3 shows were canceled after only 1 season. Willow especially being a sad example because Disney didn't just cancel Willow, they removed Willow from Disney Plus and licensed it out to other streamers. No new live-action series are planned at Lucasfilm beyond the 2nd season of Ahsoka, which comes out early next year. And we all know the experiment of transitioning Mando to the big screen failed at $345 million worldwide. Meanwhile, the Percy Jackson team was working on a Power Rangers series over at Disney Plus. That was canceled. Ryan Coogler has an Animorphs reboot that is going to pilot only, not a full season order. Last week we talked about a Spaceship Earth project that's being developed that is going to pilot only. Disney is reportedly prioritizing animation and live action for its tentpole franchises moving forward, where they can be fast-tracked on smaller budgets. So, folks, it seems that the streaming experiment for Marvel Studios and DC Studios just did not work. And frankly, I'm disappointed. I understand it's expensive and it's a lot to get it right and it's a lot to do it justice, but I'm disappointed. I like getting all these stories. I miss the days where we were being overwhelmed with Marvel content. Do y'all remember there was a time period where we had Marvel content, new Marvel content coming out every single week of the year? Between TV shows and theatrical, what a time to be alive. I'm also aware that is when most people dropped off of Marvel. But man, it was a fun time. I'm not gonna lie to you. I want to take a moment and pivot to a section of the industry that actually gives me a lot of hope and motivation, and that is the internet. YouTube TV, or I guess YouTube film in this case. The Wrap did an interview here with Jacksepticeye and Alanah Pearce, also known as Charlana Azard, regarding their upcoming movie Godmother. Now, Alanah Pearce, we talked about recently, just launched a new Chard Productions, which is essentially a new studio that is specifically focused on leveraging online creators as producers, as executive producers, as financiers, and as drivers for small indie storytelling. Leveraging these existing fan bases and leveraging these existing streams of income to create art. And Jacksepticeye is, of course, a contributor of that as well in his own regard. He is executive producing his Bloodborne movie, which I know he's super excited about. But the Wrap spoke to the two ahead of Godmother, which is going to be releasing soon. Godmother is directed by John Vernon, and it's John Varon, sorry, and it's written by Varon and Alanah Pearce. Pearce is producing through the company Chard Pictures, and McLaughlin, which is Jacksepticeye's real name, Sean McLaughlin, is one of the executive producers. Godmother follows a young woman named Theo in her late 20s who heads into the desert for a romantic weekend with her tech bro boyfriend and her tag-along sister. But when they arrive at their vacation rental, they are greeted by a couple who seem far too eager to meet Theo. The resulting horror movie promises to have bloody betrayals, homemade torture chambers, and frenzied elderly people, as it tells the story of one woman fighting to define herself in a world that has seemed as though it's decided her future for her. So, Varen started working on this movie about 10 years ago after he was thinking about how weird it is to stay in Airbnbs, and Alanah Pearce joined the project as a writer, saying, "A lot of what I put into the script is specific to bringing in a female perspective to what was already a very female-led story. Our three leading women are vastly different people, and how these women are perceived and judged by the world accordingly was a big focus for me. Who is discarded, who is rewarded, who is respected, and why." I just really wanted to take a moment and highlight that because, hey, isn't that nice? Isn't that a nice thing in the indie filmmaking world that they can have their heads on straight and go, hey, I'm a male director and I have 3 lead women in my film. Maybe I should bring in, a femme perspective and have them help with the writing on this movie to make sure that it is true and could have a little bit more nuance and can actually have depth and character. Wait, do I need to watch this horror movie? I think you might have to. Speaking on the project and why they ended up going this independent route, of course, Godmother is one of the first Char production movies that is being released. When we initially tried to go get funding for Godmother, we had numerous conversations with more traditional studios and financiers. Most of them required us to attach A-list actors in order to mitigate financial risk. One company even specified that we cast J.K. Simmons in a role which would have made it a completely different movie from the one on the page. We could have pursued those options further, but in doing so, we would not have made Godmother. We would have made some studio-mandated cash grab Frankenstein version of Godmother. What's the point? And I think to that is exactly what is so insanely motivating about the indie space right now, is that movies right now from these big corporate pictures, production houses, studios are really feeling like corporate slop in many ways. And even if they're made with a lot of loving care, like there's just a certain level of corporate synergy, mandates, interests that slither into these movies undeniably and just completely derail them, regardless of how well the intent is. Jacksepticeye, Sean McLaughlin, told The Wrap, "I think the idea of being able to make it ourselves and avoid some of the headaches of a more traditional studio system, especially for an indie movie, has always been more appealing. There are strengths and weaknesses to both, but being able to have full control and call the shots ourselves with our own timelines was a massive help. It didn't feel right to do it any other way." And I think that is fantastic. Regarding how they see this movie falling into place with all of the other major moves going on in the industry, of course, with movies like Obsession from Curry Barker, who is an online creator, Kane Parsons, who is an online creator for Backrooms, and we have more under development, which we've talked about on streams prior. There's been a lot more outreach from companies and executives. All eyes are on the creator space now to see if there's more diamonds to be found. I'm pretty glad we shot Godmother back in December before Iron Lung and Obsession and Backrooms, because I suspect there will be a huge, overwhelming wave of content creator-led features funded by Hollywood over the next few years. I fear quality will drop. And, I mean, shit, we were just talking about the Squishmallows movie that's being developed, right? People like the Lego movie. People like the Barbie movie. They're going to want a Lububu movie. They're going to want a Squishmallows movie. They're going to want a Polly Pocket movie. Missing the point altogether. People like Backrooms. People like Obsessions. They want to watch The Siren Man. They want to watch this other creepypasta. In either case, I feel good and comfortable knowing that the future of Hollywood is in these people's hands. And chat, I would love to know from you, if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. Who is a YouTuber that you would love to give the keys to an independent movie? Who would you want to see develop an original movie? Hell, even an IP, maybe a smaller IP or something of the sorts, like kind of what Markiplier did with Iron Lung. I would love to know. Go ahead and shout them out in the comments and get us on board with some cool new YouTubers, because why not? Why not? But chat, that's going to wrap up Movie News Monday for the day and stream. So if you're watching live, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate you participating in chat and letting us know how much fun you're having. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button or come check us out live. It's called Movie News Monday because we go live on Mondays. Thank you for a great Monday. I appreciate it, chat. Thank you for hanging out with me. If you're not following on all the other socials, make sure you do. We post little clips and recaps of stream on TikTok and Instagram. But folks, I have been Jupy Gorg. This has been Movie News Monday. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will see you at the movies. Bye.